Welcome to another live episode of Experience Andy Weins Live, where we come together every week and talk about one topic. And this week's topic is specifics, like the one thing we talk about every week that we'll be discussing here on the show today. Before we get into the lesson, as always, we're going to focus on a moment of gratitude. It's the old red car thing, right? You look for red cars, you find red cars. So we're going to focus on gratitude. This week, I'm grateful for the people of Savannah. Over the weekend, I visited Savannah. It's my second time there. I love it. It's one of my favorite places in the world. And everywhere we went, from the Uber drivers to the waiters and waitresses to the random people that were visiting and vacationing there, everyone was in a great mood. People were jovial. Even when the weather came down and it was raining sheets on us on Sunday afternoon, they were giving and they were hospitable. And there's this world we live in where you watch the news and it's all about this polarization of the world. And yet most people are pretty decent people. And so when I focus on that, I realize, yeah, you're going to run into a turd every now and then. And yet, for the most part, people are pretty good. People like having conversations. People like telling themselves about you and where they're from and their life experiences. And I like telling people who I am and where I'm from and my life experiences and perspective. So together, this world that we're living in comes down to being grateful for what we have. And there's a hell of a lot more good out there than there is bad, despite what the internet might tell you. Good people exist everywhere. Get out of your house, get out of your world, get out of this reality that you've painted and go see the world. So a lot of really great people out there. So I'm thankful for all the people that I got to spend time with in Savannah, maybe restoring my faith in humanity, whatever that might be. Very much enjoyed my time there and the people there. All right. Second thing, pay the bills. I come on here every week. I give away these lessons for free with the plan that people that watch this show will eventually make introductions to me so I can stand in front of others on a stage, on boardrooms, or in boardrooms and training C-suite executives. And ultimately, the goal is, how do I go deeper with this information with people that want to receive this information? So wherever you can see I fit in, I would love to have introductions. Introduce me to new people within your world, your audience, your organization, your nonprofit, wherever you meet people. Whenever you bring something up you learn from this show, make an introduction. I'm relatively email, Facebook, LinkedIn, relatively available. Facebook, LinkedIn, email, phone number, right? It's all available and out there. So make those introductions. Let's make those connections. So no different than Savannah, where I had the opportunity to meet new people and learn from new people. This can also be an opportunity for me to meet more people in your life that I can have a positive effect on in their lives. All right. Let's go talk about what we're going to talk about today. What we're talking about is specifics. I had a listener reach out to me 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. She was listening to one of my shows, and I was talking about specifics versus details. And she said, curious, what is the difference between specifics and details? I said, that's a great question. Details embody all data, while specifics is the data that matter most. Not all details are specific. All specifics are details. And I said to her, I'm not interested in the 100 things that make the engine go. I want to know, what about the 2 or 3 things that will make it stop? And that's the key. A lot of times people get wrapped up in the details of life, and yet there's something very specific about the conversation, specific about a limiting belief that's preventing you from moving forward. And there's an analogy out there in a fight or flight situation. In a situation, for example, when someone goes down and a bunch of people rush to the person and you want to triage the person, right? A patient, a potential patient, someone's having a seizure, someone slips, trips, or falls, whatever the case may be. And often it's okay. We go in the military, it's A, B, C. So it's airways. Are airways good? Is there bleeding? And there's circulation. So we want to look at those 3 things, right? And then also we want to look into, okay, do they have blue around their lips? Again, if they're not breathing, are they responsive? We're going through all these things, right? And yet the specific thing is, what is the number one priority? And what people do is they'll rush to the situation and then they'll say, oh, someone needs to call someone 911. Someone needs to do this. Someone needs to do this. And then it ends up being where everybody does nothing and nobody does anything, because everyone's getting caught up in the details, where the specifics are, okay, the person is non-responsive. That person, you call 911. You look in their wallet for emergency contact information, or if they have a medical card, or in the military, for example, we have dog tags that have any medical information. You raise their legs, right? Now you're giving very specific instructions to specific people. And in an emergency situation like that, people then either succeed or they fail. It's really that simple. Dr. Jordan Peterson talks about this. He talks about this when with your spouses, talks about with your kids, talks about it with your employers and your employees. Give them very specific expectations that you have, boundaries that you have, and then see how they perform. And then when they perform, give them very specific feedback. And when you do that, people that want to please you, people that want you to be happy around them, will double down on those things that excite them, intrigue them, bring out a positive emotion. And people that could care less about how you feel or don't want you to be having a good day or aren't happy for you or whatever the case may be, they'll continue to miss those specific things because either A, they don't care, B, they don't remember, right? There's a clear issue there. The opportunity you have as an individual is be as specific as possible. One of the lessons I teach people, especially when they're having emotional challenges, right? A lot of people can act out their emotions. You can see it in their face. You can hear it in their voice, right? That's that 93% of nonverbal communication, which consists of tone and then your posture and your gestures. I focus on that 7% verbal communication. How do you articulate your feelings using words in a common logical manner? And a very simple explanation or exercise you can do is, I feel this way, whatever that way is. I feel, insert emotion here, when you specific action, whatever that may be. So, for example, at work, you can say, hey, I feel disrespected when you showed up to the meeting late today. Not all days, not all the time, right? Because you say, it's as simple as, I feel disrespected when you're late. I was on time yesterday, not specific. I feel or I felt disrespected when you showed up to the meeting late today. Now it's not an argument about whether or not they're on time or late, not an argument of how they intended to make you feel. And it's not even really a question you're asking. You're being very specific on how you feel based on their action. It's inarguable. So long as the action is qualifiable and objective, the emotion is inarguable because that's how you feel. You can say, I feel loved when you do X, Y, Z. We know about the 5 love languages, right? Gifts, physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service. I feel loved when you you bought me that thing I wanted. I recently bought my girlfriend a vacuum. She was very excited about that because we got 2 dogs and there's dog hair everywhere and the old vacuum was going to crap. And so it's okay. I felt empowered when you bought me that vacuum. Hell, next time I go to Costco, I'm going to be looking for more things that she wants that will empower her because she runs the household. I want to empower her. I want her to feel loved. And so again, I'm tying it specifically to that action. There's also people, when you want that ask, you want someone to do something. Often people, I'm in sales. This morning I did a sales webinar, sales training, where I was telling people about when you say, hey, what does your calendar look like next week for an estimate? People will look at their whole calendar, 168 hours that we all get every single week, and they'll, hem and haw, versus saying, what does your calendar look like Tuesday at 10 p.m., 10 a.m. rather, 10 p.m., a little late to go to someone's house. What does your calendar look like Tuesday at 10 a.m.? They can say, not good. And more often than not, people then respond with a very specific date and time that does work. When you give specifics, you also give people the opportunity to say no when you're seeking buy-in versus compliance. And seeking no is a beautiful thing because one no will turn into another yes. So seek that no versus saying, hey, are you available next week? And they say yes. And you're like, cool, you're available next week. All right, let's just do it sometime next week. That's weak. That's soft. It's a language that will not get you where you want to go in this world. When you're specific about your ask, they can clearly say yes or no. And then you can ask that follow-up question, getting even more specific information. Specifically, for example, in sales, I'll ask the question, right? I do excite, inform, ask. I talked about it about a year ago on the show. Excite, inform, ask. I'll say something. Really excited to take on this project. Here's the price and the conditions. Is there anything stopping you from making the decision today? They'll say no and say, okay. What's your decision? I can stand there because I'm now giving you very specific Excite. I want to get this project. Hear the specifics about it. And then, is there anything stopping you from making that decision? I'm giving you permission to ask me any question. They might say, well, I need to talk over my significant other. Okay, let's go back to specifics. When do you plan on talking to your significant other? When would you like us to follow up with you? What is the best way to get them on board with this project? Very specific in the ask. In people, when faced with that specific question, it'll generate thought. When you ask specific or general questions, right? Hey, how's your day going? What do we say? Not good, not bad, could be better, whatever. Versus asking somebody, what's the best thing that happened to you in the last 7 days? What are you most looking forward to in your life right now? Now you get people thinking specifically, what am I looking forward to? Or in business, people will often say, what is it you do? And I change one word in that. I say, why do you do what you do? People will be flabbergasted. Why? Oh, why do I do what I do? And often then they'll start opening up. They'll start being vulnerable because I was specific in my ask. What do you do? Anybody can answer that. Anybody that works in that company that's in that same exact role can answer that question, what they do, right? In our world, we provide peace of mind through drunk removal services versus saying, why is it you do what you do? We have 24 employees here at this company. We had 24 reasons why, specific to that individual. That is what gains connection. That's what builds connection with people. It reminds me that over the weekend I was in Savannah. I was at Forsyth Park, which is a huge park, 30 acres in Savannah, beautiful park. And I was walking. I listened to this mother and daughter. They were walking. And I kept hearing the daughter saying, why? And the mom kept saying, no, why, no, why, no, why, no, half a dozen times. It probably started way before I started walking, probably continued even after I passed them. And I'd make the argument it probably has happened quite a bit. The child, 4 or 5 years old, says why, and the mother or father says no. Kids on average will hear 50 no's for every one yes. Get into it. The kid asks why. Whatever the question was, I wasn't there for that. What was that question? Specifically answer it. Most kids, they'll ask why. You answer like 3 to 5 why questions. You satisfy that curiosity they have, and they're excited. They got the information. They were looking to obtain information as to the gap. And when you're transparent and vulnerable with kids, they'll understand. Hey, why is it I can't ride my bike without a helmet? Because if you ride your bike with a helmet, you get hurt. You're going to get hurt even more without a helmet. So in order to ride your bike, we need to have a helmet on. I don't want to wear my helmet. Okay. Then we can't ride your bike. So now we're not talking about all these other things about it's dangerous, it's unsafe, you don't know what you're doing yet. Nope. We are specifically saying wear your helmet so that you are safe when something happens. And now you gave a very specific example for a child so they can follow. And it's no different than your employees or your significant others. Often people say, oh, I know how to take care of my employees. I know how to love on my spouse. When you ask specifically a question like, when did you feel most loved this last week? Oh, that's the good stuff. Or when you're frustrated with your significant other, frustrated with life, take some time, reflect. What are you specifically upset about? What can you do in real time to regulate that now that you have that awareness piece? What are you going to do? When you reflect in very specific moments in your life. How did you feel? Have the conversation with yourself. Realize the way you feel around certain people, the way you feel when certain people do or say certain things, and then regulate accordingly. I have a family member and I know that they have a lot of self-limiting beliefs that they project out onto the world. I realize that in real time. I can specifically give examples of, yep, this is what happened. They said that. This is how I felt. Very specific. So instead of dismissing them entirely, it gives me an opportunity to say, okay, this is how they live their life. They're not open to feedback. They're not a growth-minded individual. Okay, I will love them and accept them for who they are. And now I can move on. They're not all bad. They're not a terrible person. No, here are some things specifically they do that have a negative impact on my life. Now it's no longer about the person. It's no longer about this 10,000-foot view of who I think they are, what they're trying to do. No, specifically, here are some activities and behaviors that they exhibit that don't fit within my boundaries. Once you have your specifics, you can start making decisions. And then it goes back to OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. When you specifically know what you want in life, when you listen for certain words, when you hear a certain language, you can orient yourself to it. I have the list of shit words that do not serve: should, can't, won't, don't. I'm thinking, I'm talking, I'm trying. When I hear those, I specifically go, ooh, that's something. Let's dig into that self-limiting belief. Let's dig into that victim mindset language, because I'm looking for specific words. I'm not looking for the whole narrative, the whole story. I'm looking for that specific word they use within a sentence. And I say, ooh, let's talk about that. And sometimes I get people say, I said it, it's not what I meant. You said it. You said it, so you meant something. What is it you meant? And you give people, you build that golden bridge. You give people the opportunity to retreat from maybe what they said, take the time to say what they thought they meant to say. All about specifics. And now it's no longer about the person, it's about what they said versus their intention of what they said. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. Specifics matter most. Details, get caught up in the details. A lot of details you can get drowned in. Focus on specifically, not the 100 things that make the engine go. What are the 2 or 3 things that make the engine stop? That's most interesting to me when it comes to specifics. So get out there this week. Listen for specifics in your own language and in the language of others. Do the fucking thing. Tell the fucking world. Show the fuck up and listen for the specifics. I'll see you next week.